at this point of time, AI astrologers are rated higher than the human astrologer on our platform. So for Astrosage AI, I think we chose that trust model.
I think Mom the Astrologer might become a hit because that's like your mother giving you advice on astrological predictions.
This came natural to us. So we started with AI, which was voice first platform. And most importantly, astrology in itself is conversational. So that Bengali person was speaking with AI in Hindi, in Bengali tone or dialect, whatever is the appropriate word. And then AI was also responding in the same way.
Welcome to the Convo AI World Podcast. In this podcast, we interview builders, developers, and teams that are building solutions for the conversational and voice AI space. Joining us today is someone from the astrology background who has shaped the digital age in astrology. And at some point, I think we've all asked an astrologer, when will things get better? Now imagine that astrologer is an AI who's available 24/7, speaking your language and understanding your emotions. So today's guest is the visionary that's making it real. Punit Pandey joins us for Agora's Convo AI World Podcast. He's the co-founder and CEO at Astrosage and has transformed how millions experience astrology, blending deep tech with ancient wisdom for over 100 million users worldwide. Welcome to the podcast, Puneet.
Thanks, Rishi. Thanks for having me, and thanks, Agora. So very nice joining here.
Absolutely, Puneet. It's a pleasure to have you here as well. And I think, Puneet, with the recent innovations like AI Astrologer on call, you are redefining what happens when empathy meets algorithms. So again, welcome to the show, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Rishi. My pleasure.
Perfect. All right. So, Puneet, let's dive into the contents of the podcast today. So, in the first section, let's talk about your vision and the turning point, right? Obviously, you've always straddled two worlds. One is astrology and one is technology. So, can you give us that aha moment when you realized that conversational AI would transform how people experience astrology?
Actually, there were 2, 3 major moments, I would say. So first was related to AI itself. So it was somewhere around 2015 or 16 once I got into this neural network and deep neural network. So then that time I did programming for more than 30 years or so. So I started very early, and when I was 10 or 11 years, I started programming. So when I encountered artificial neural network, deep net, so I was kind of a shock that computer or a software or artificial brain can learn things. So I was always learned and taught writing code step by step. So when I realized that machine can learn, that was a big aha moment for me. That was probably in this after coding for a long time when you realize, oh, we were doing it very differently, or maybe we were doing all wrong. So then that was kind of a shocking and surprising aha for me. So that was, I would say, the first part. And then the second part was I saw this Google Home and Echo, Alexa Echo, and all these voice-based device coming, and then they are understanding our voice so well. Again, neural networks playing a role in that. So again, that was another aha moment for me. And then that was the time actually we decided that we will be building our own conversation. We released our first AI astrology app in 2018. So the name of the app was AI. So that was a conversational app. I would say that the AI was not at the prime at that time, so that product was not that successful. But I would say these were the two aha moments which brought us here.
I'm sure I think a lot of aspiring developers and the kids today will definitely relate to that, Puneet, right? Because it's always fascinating that you can create an artificial brain and train it over time. And in today's world where AI is moving at the speed of knots, I think all the aspiring students and kids and developers out there would definitely relate to what you just said. Thank you so much.
Right. In fact, I would say that for us who are probably kind of a bit old in this in the AI game, so for us, unlearning was bigger challenge than the learning. So we were so much into the traditional way of coding, and then just forgetting everything and starting from scratch. That was probably the most difficult thing for us.
Absolutely right. I think that's something that will change for the future generations.
Right.
Because AI keeps surprising us every few weeks. So it's definitely a lot to do these days, but
Absolutely.
especially not starting from scratch. Yeah. Perfect. And I think, Puneet, the next question I had in mind was that a lot of startups today continue chasing automation, right? But not conversation. So, what made you deeply bet on conversation as the interface for something as emotional as astrology? Because the way we see astrologers in India or all over the world is very personalized, and we are sharing our data, which is again very confidential. So, how have you bridged that gap of empathy, emotions, and obviously changed the game with AI astrologer?
As far as picking up the conversational part of AI, so as I told, this came natural to us. So we started with AI, which was voice first platform. So we started from there, and then now when generative AI become popular, that was also because it was backed by large language models, primarily language models. So conversation was, I would say that part of that whole process. So the nature of astrology in itself is conversational. So I think the choice for us was easy, and that is the reason when I saw the voice based platform earlier in 2007, 16, 17. So that made me clear that this is the future of astrology.
No, I think that's again a great point, because conversation is what drives astrology, and you build trust over time, and the remedies that come with astrological solutions, once you see that coming to life and performing at its best, that's where the conversation becomes into faith, right? So hopefully that's where AI astrologer unlocks the next level of growth as well.
Absolutely.
So perfect. Thank you, Puneet, for those insights. Now, I think let's deep dive into what is inside the AI astrologer tech itself, right? So, let's say for those who haven't tried this yet, what actually happens when someone calls the AI astrologer? Could you walk us through the tech and the experience?
Yeah, so as far as experience is concerned, this is pretty simple and probably better optimized due to the tech part. So you provide, in case you are consulting an astrologer. So before that, I would say our platform is more like the AI avatars, right? So this is no single AI. So these are various different AIs. So for example, there is a Mr. Krishnamurti who is an expert. He is an AI astrologer, but but he is an expert in a system called KP system of astrology. Then there is a Anita Jha and Tarot Vijay. They are expert in tarot reading. Then there is a Vijay Vimani who is tarot expert in numerology, and so on. So basically, the point is that we do not have one single model, one single system. We do have a lots of amalgamation of the models. So when you go to our platform, so generally when user comes first time, if we just decide on the two parameters, whether the birth details are available or birth details are not available. If birth detail is available, then you go automatically connected to one astrologer that we decide. If birth details are not available, then we automatically connect to tarot reader. Again, we decide. And then this is the first onboarding funnel. And once that onboarding is done and you had a chat with or call with that particular astrologer, then you can choose any other AI astrologer. So there are bunch of different AI astrologer, but because we did not want to confuse people about all the technicalities, so the initial onboarding flow is very simple and straightforward. Now, I guess the second part of the question was that the technology behind it. So again, the technology is quite complex and very AI heavy as such. So we do have different models for different astrologers, or the avatars is probably the best word. So different models for different avatars. We do have the backend selection classifier model as well, to which backend one has to go. And then we also have a classifier for the kind of question user has asked. So these are the technical part, technical starting part. And then once we decide and decipher and understand everything about this, then we have our own astrology engine, which is based on this AI, which we released earlier. So that engines understands it and then try to prepare a basic astrological requirement for that answer, and then the conversational AI of that if it is a chat, then the model response will be the answer, or if it is not chat, it is a call, then there will be some kind of a model that will be the voice or a real time model which will be answering this. So again, on a front, the last point, the real time model, we generally use the OpenAI model and the Google models for real time answers, and then of course all that conversational call related things like voice activity detection and the latency and other things. Those part we would like to optimize it as much as possible, because people want to feel like they are having conversation with a real astrologer. So it should not sound technical. So that is the high level picture of our architecture, I would say. Does that
Got
answer the question?
Absolutely, Puneet. Yeah, I think you've covered it across multiple spectrums here. The AI astrologer scope is defined, whether it's across the voice channel or the chat channel. And I think from KP part of astrology to tarot part of astrology, everything is defined. And there are prerequisites if the birth details are available for the user or not available for the user. The AI adapts accordingly and gives personalized and customized responses with respect to what is being captured in the system. So that's a pretty solid and spectrum defined system, I would say. So that's a great response again. Thank you so much for that. And I think since you spoke about the scope, the definition, the various ways of how AI is responding to user queries, so that brings me to the next question, is that astrological queries are often emotional. Sometimes it's vague as well, and sometimes very, very deeply personal. So, when it comes to training the AI model, I think you've already answered this in parts in the previous responses. But how do you anticipate to train an AI model which will have such varied intent and what it needs to respond with empathy as well? So, how do you go about training such AI models so that the users adopt the AI responses, whether it's through chat or voice, in a personalized manner and consume it and in the form of faith and build faith over time?
Right. So, first of all, as I mentioned, that our AI is not one single AI. So we do have various different models, and generally, even in real life, and because we are an astrology platform, and we have a large number of data, probably the largest one. So what we have seen, that different people do have a different kind of expectation from the so some people like astrologers who are very straightforward. They'll say good thing is a good thing and bad thing is a bad thing. And other people like that it should be polished, sugar coated, and toned down version of what they say. So different people do have a different expectation from astrologers. So our job is to design and define astrologers of various kind, and let people choose whatever works best for them. So, for example, we have an astrologer called Mom the Astrologer. So, as the name suggests, so the Mom the Astrologer is extremely empathetic astrologer. So, generally, she keeps and make sure that somebody coming from the sad background, depressed background, so that should be handled with the help of astrology, of course. And then there are some astrologers like Dr. Raman. So these are very straightforward astrologer. So they'll say whatever is correct according to astrology. So generally, our idea is to make it more like a human astrologer platform. You have availability of all different ways, unless and until these astrologers do not cross certain boundaries, certain guardrails. Then I think we want to give as much human experience as possible with the benefit of AI. So of course, there are lots of benefit of the AI in astrology, but that we want to give. But idea is to have this similar to human experience.
I think that's another fascinating take, right? Because there are people who prefer very direct responses, no nonsense responses, and some people do not really like that. And then empathy is how you handle that. I think Mom the Astrologer might become a hit because that's like your mother giving you advice on astrological predictions and what you should be doing. So people might find that more fascinating. But I think it all depends on maybe Gen Z versus millennials versus the senior citizens who are using the platform.
Absolutely. As a tech company, we want to make sure and we must make sure that people do have choices, and with certain guardrails, it should be accessible. Whatever they would like, they should be able to choose. So again, I say that for Astrosage AI is not a single model, single platform kind of a thing. It is more like astrology for everyone.
Exactly. No, absolutely. I think that's where all the founders need to aim as well. It's all it's addressing everyone across the globe. Perfect. Perfect. I think that brings me to my next question here, Puneet. Now, I think during the development of the AI astrologer, right, there must have been one moment where AI might have surprised you since you're working across so many facets of AI. So it can be surprise might have come either by working better than expected or getting something hilariously wrong. So do you have any examples of that?
Oh, tons of examples. So, sometimes AI surprises you, sometimes AI scares you. So, tons of examples. So, these are very interesting examples. So, I'll share a couple of them. So, first, when we were building Astrosage AI, so that time, our company CEO. So, generally, I take care of. I write my designation as CIO, Chief Innovation Officer. So CEO, I give product to him for testing, and he's a little bit very interested in fitness part. So he asked question, as per my birth chart, how to reduce weight or something like that. So the AI astrologer analyzed his chart and then said that you should this planetary combination, you should practice martial art. So Pratik, the CEO, he then followed up that question with which martial art should I practice according to my birth chart. So the AI astrologer again went forward and analyzed his birth chart and predicted that if for him the best martial is Krav Maga, which is Israeli martial art. And actually, I was not aware of that point of time that Krav Maga is a martial art. So I started astrology pretty early. So I am doing astrology for say 30 years or so. But so that kind of a shocked me that as an astrologer, we do not understand everything in the world that exists. So for us, it is very difficult to tailor and customize the answer based on what user is looking for. So to answer this particular question, how to use astrology in weight loss, you need to understand all the various possibilities of the weight loss, and then only you can choose astrologically which one works best for the user. So that was kind of a surprising, shocking, interesting for me, and good for us that my CEO was, I got the backing for him that okay, this is the good product you have built. So that was a good part. And
Indeed.
another time we were building Instagram integration. So Instagram integration, I use Android phone. My son is a table tennis player. He's a 14-year old. So he is a national player. So but he uses iPhone. So I wanted to see the difference this Instagram integration making with iPhone versus Android. I asked him, can you just check this? Is it working properly? So Pravar being me as old table tennis player. So he asked, the astrologer. And as you know, in table tennis, generally you have a blade. You buy blade separately. You buy forehand and backhand rubber separately. You stick them together, and then based on your playing preference, you create your customized racket for professional players. So he asked AI astrologer, which forehand rubber should I use? Then the AI astrologer said that your Mars is in 9th house or something in exalted in 9th house. So you use medium to hard rubber on your forehand. So that in table tennis, the rubbers are classified as soft rubber, rubber, medium, hard rubber, and so on. So then they followed up the question. Okay, I have Dignix O9C and Dignix O5 in mind. So these are two butterfly brands. And can you suggest me which one should I use on forehand? So again, AI astrologer analyzed, and then based on combination plan, it said that because the Gnixonines is a techie rubber, so you should use techie rubber on your forehand and then non-techie rubber on your backhand. So this is kind of again shocked and probably brings down astrologer, put my astrologer's ego a little bit. That okay, uh, I am entering into a tough territory. So AI astrologers are going to give a pretty interesting perspective to the whole thing. So they brings a lot of new and different ideas to the field of astrology yeah, everywhere. But I think because we know more it from the astrology perspective, so fresh idea. So when we launched AI Astrologer in Astrosage AI, so that time our AI astrologers were far behind human astrologers. Now at this point of time, AI astrologers are rated higher than the human astrologer on our platform. So we do have a 25,000 to 13,000 astrologers, human astrologers. 2030 AI astrologers. So average rating what AI astrologer receive and on any day is higher than average rating human astrologer receive on any day. So these are all surprising to us. So when we launched it, so we had all doubts and all questions how people will be perceiving AI, and is it a good decision to launch AI in on our platform, especially in fact even our competitors ask this question to us. They call and then they chat, and then they are eagerly want to know why you did the exactly opposite thing of changing your brand name from Astrosage to Astrosage AI. Earlier our brand name was Astrosage and now it is Astrosage AI. So they find it very difficult to understand that they say that we try to hide AI. Even if we use AI, we try to hide AI, and you are doing it opposite. So fortunately for us, it worked really well. And I would say astrology never stops surprising us.
No, absolutely. I think this perspective is going to be very well received by the viewers as well, Puneet. Right, the kind of questions that a 14-year-old your son is asking versus your counterpart in the company, and correlating that with martial arts, which is practiced in Israel for weight loss, is quite fascinating. And I think this is where AI obviously will work better because it has access to abundance of information, not restricted to a region or country or to a specific subject. It kind of looks at everything very holistically. And since it has access to global information, it can give very curated responses, which is something outside the scope of a single or multiple human astrologers out there. So I think unlocking that level of growth and with the experimentation that you're doing, Puneet, is going to be expiring for the current and future set of innovators that the country and the world would see. So definitely fascinating, and I think it gives me as a individual user, it gives me more hope that I can ask anything to an AI astrologer, and I will get some sort of response which is in line with what my planets are speaking as well. So great.
Sure.
Perfect, perfect. I think that section went really, really well, Puneet. I think these fascinating stories are what the viewers were anticipating, and I'm glad they are getting the same. So I think moving on to the next section, and this is mostly like stories from the trenches. Right now, you've been building and associated with astrology for over 30 years now. right? So I think if you would want to take us behind the scenes, a story, another story, or another moment, maybe even a bug that captures what it was really like building an AI that talks like an astrologer, right? So I think we have discussed how people are using it and what kind of responses they are getting, but any stories that might define how the country enacts, or any stories from the technology side, but taking us behind the scenes is would be more fascinating here, Puneet. So over to you.
Right. Lots of stories again, because as I mentioned that especially AI never stops in surprising us. A recent story, I think this is the last week or last week only, when we launched AI on call. So now you can have a telephonic call, any full telephonic conversation with AI astrologers. So there, and in interesting one thing we have noticed that the generally the 5-star ratings we receive, that is higher from the non-Hindi, non-English languages than Hindi and English language. So one thing which surprised me, that there was a when we were doing audit of the this call. So one person who was Bengali, and he was speaking Hindi in the Bengali style. So in India, we have a different way of speaking Hindi. The Maharashtrian people will be speaking Hindi in a different tone, and Bengali people will be in a different tone. So that Bengali person was speaking with the AI in Hindi, in Bengali tone or dialect, whatever is the appropriate word. And then AI was also responding in the same ways. That kind of a conversation was so amazing, like two brothers talking to each other, kind of a thing. So it was feeling like that AI is so close to the person, which was otherwise for any human astrologer, it is very difficult. So I can speak one language, two language, or maybe three language, five languages, but talking every language in the style of the way user looking for, that is absolutely amazing. So this is probably last week's story, and kind of shocked and surprised once again.
No, I think that that's another part of personalization, right? Because I think this challenge has existed for most of the part. I think even in astrology, there is a North Indian style of Kundli versus a South Indian style of Kundli. And people generally prefer North Indian astrologers because of the language adaptability instead of South. And I think, which brings me to another question, Puneet, and I think I'm probably jumping the gun here. Now, I think since you brought up the language challenge, right, in addressing a proper human to human conversation before, but with AI, we can probably solve that now, not just at the language layer, but like you said, at the accent, at the dialect layer as well. And not just Indian languages, right? I think I also saw that the AI astrologer speaks global languages like Japanese, German, Chinese, and French. And I think you mentioned that you are getting maximum 5-star ratings from non-Hindi or non-native speakers. So I think since you are building from Bharat, but not just for Bharat, now building for global audiences as well. So how did you overcome those local hurdles first, while also scaling Astrosage's conversational AI for the truly global audience? Because this challenge is something that I think everyone will be able to relate who has tuned into the podcast.
Right. So one thing probably good for us, first of all, we all in our company top leadership is all from a small town. So we were part of that thing. So when we launched, in fact, our first mobile app we launched was in year 2000 or 2001. So the name of the app was Mobile Kundli. So Mobile Kundli, that time, before Android and iOS, the operating system used to be the Palm OS. Palm PDAs or Palm OS, Palm Tops, what was that time. So Palm itself did not support the regional fonts. So what we had to do is to build regional fonts for our own. So that the app in 2001, 2002 mobile only. So that was multilingual app. Then and that time the web also did not support Unicode. So that time there was a technology called dynamic fonts. So the fonts were downloaded in background kind of a thing. But that also came later. Unicode was not properly supported anywhere. So in fact, in Hindi we wrote the second Hindi blog. So when blogging came, so first blog was another one. So and to name the domain also, I had the Hindi blog, hindiblogs.com, and because this was the second blog, so Hindi blogs is the default domain you will have. So the point I want to make is that because of the background and the need of building for Bharat is very different from the rest of the world. We were forced to create something which is very Indian. So, for example, Android supported the Hindi fonts or the Unicode fonts in 4.0 or what KitKat or something. So it was very late, and we released it much earlier. So again, we will have to build everything Indian and regional because the Android itself was not supported, and we were very disappointed by Android that why they are not supporting Hindi. Even the Arabic and other language were supported, but not the Indian one. Samsung, they did something in 2.3.5, is gave a little bit of support. Android itself came very late in the language game. So we had to do all the hard work to create app which was multilingual in Indian. Now we currently operate 11 or 12 different regional languages, medium languages. App is in 9 or 10 languages, and then we are coming up with all the international languages that you mentioned, the German and Japanese and so on. But I think because of our the basic idea of building and seeing everything from that perspective, that helped us building that kind of a product. And that is the reason I think Astrosage AI is among very few products which are organically grown in India. In India, generally, most of the apps that we see are grown using advertisement or cashbacks and all those kind of a thing. But Astrocare is among very few apps which are grown organic. And I guess the reason the localization and the support for Bharat from Bharat is probably the leading cause for that.
That's interesting as well, right? So you take us back another 2 decades where obviously the Hindi dialects or the Indian languages were not really available and not supported across multiple platforms. So I think the experience of building something from scratch across the diversity of languages in India made it much easier for you to scale in other regions of the world and adopt new languages. And I think the best part I liked about the response, Puneet, was the organic growth. So hold on to that thought. The next section is based on that, how you can share that how you are scaling from Bharat, but not just for Bharat anymore, but to the rest of the world as well. So, as Astrosage charters globally, Puneet, because you have now 100 million users on the platform. So, how do you envision preserving its Vedic soul, the soul of astrology, while adapting to audiences shaped by Western or other astrological traditions? So I think everyone on the platform is aware and mostly relates astrology to Vedic sciences defined in rural India and now urban India as well, but mostly related to then called Hindustan, now called India and Bharat. But there are various other astrological methods and traditions across APAC, across maybe Europe as well, across the US as well, where many of your audience is there. So, how do you envision preserving the Vedic soul when adapting to various audiences who have multiple religions and follow very different traditions?
All right. So currently, our idea is more to take the Vedic approach to the world. So right now, this adaptation part is not high on our chart, and we would like to see this the AI avatars which brings the Vedic wisdom to the Western world, how they are perceiving it. And then probably there may be a time where we will be modifying and blending it, but not currently. So we believe that the wisdom provided by the Vedas is universal, and majority of the part should be applicable to everybody. So I think that is one part. Having said that, as you mentioned correctly, the astrological methods and systems are very different, or at least different from every country has a different system or method. But fortunately for us, we already built lots of systems earlier. For example, the Western world uses something called tropical astrology. The Indian astrology is the sidereal astrology, and their astrology is the tropical astrology. So this tropical astrology we built, it is their part of Astrosage from the long time. So we already have a AI avatar like astrologer Anna. Anna is mainly a Western astrologer. So there is one or two more astrologers, AI avatar. They use Western astrology only. Similarly, China has the I Ching, and lots of countries do have there are different variation. But I think the sidereal astrology, Western astrology, the Arabic part is having the Tajik astrology. So the Tajik astrology is also part of our system for a long time. In fact, the annual horoscope that we made is based on the Tajik system of astrology. It is called Varshfa. Majority of the world is already covered by the algorithms what we have. So I think as far as algorithms are concerned, nothing new to build. Only thing is we will be seeing that current approach is how closely it is working. So probably rather than a change, we would be needing some kind of a tweaking for the rest of the world. This is my assumption, but we will have to wait and see.
No, absolutely. I think you already gave us a very quotable quote here that I Vedas is for the universe and it is universal. So, and definitely, and thanks for touching upon the various astrology methods followed in different religions as well. I was not aware about the Arabic astrology that you mentioned. So, that's another fascinating way of looking into the different aspects. And since we are touching on astrology a lot here, Puneet, so astrology is also considered a way of life in many different definitions that we have out there. So, if you think beyond astrology, do you see that conversational AI will become a more holistic life guidance companion, like something that can blend astrology, wellness, and emotional support in real time? And wellness can be in both ways, right? Physical and mental. Now, the kind of lives that we are living at the moment, it's become very focused on sitting a lot during our working hours. So mental health is something that is of grave importance these days. So how can astrology blend into all of that and offer a more holistic approach to life?
Yeah, so this holistic word itself, I would say, is more of a Western concept. So in India, it's not like that. So in India, you have a single person working as an astrologer, as a panditji, as a pujari, as a guruji, as a coach, and as a guide, and everything. So this is the one and the single same person working as a guiding force in everything. So it is even it is a wellness, or it is a psychology, even it is a astrology, even it is a puja, everything. So this is very Indian concept. So this is anyway that gels well with the AI, right? So AI can is very good in doing multiple things, and act as a various different personalities of tasks. So, and I think this gels perfectly well with Indian concept of astrologer. So I think that there is no difficulty in that.
Absolutely. I think multitasking is something that is inbuilt into our DNAs as well. And yeah, I think when we approach someone who's from the same background, right, they truly become our life guide as well, giving us solutions, performing the rituals, and offering advice, which defines our life and shapes our lives forward as well. So that's another great take on that, Puneet. Thank you so much. The next thing I wanted to touch upon is one thing is building technology, right? And one thing is building trust within these spiritual products that is being offered. So, how do you build a monetization model that respects the user's vulnerability while keeping the experience authentic and accessible? Because this is the time where the user is completely transparent in front of the system, right? That this is what is going on in my personal life, professional life, and how do we tackle that in a very human manner, although the AI astrologer is giving advice. And the most difficult part is building a monetization model out of that. So I think that if you can give your take on that, Puneet, that would be really good.
Yeah. So actually, people, what I have observed in all my experience, pay using two different methods. One, they are manipulated, they will pay. Okay, and then one they trust, they will pay. So in astrology, these are the two methods. So for example, if I am an astrologer and you came to me and I just scare you with all dangerous sounding names like Vish Dosh and Kalsar Dosh, Sare Sati, and so on. So this is easy to make money. Making money becomes much more easier. So I can make you spend say a lakh or 2 lakh, 3 lakh on gemstones and pujas. So this is one method. Other method is also there. When you trust somebody, then you are willing to pay. So for Astrosage AI, I think we chose that trust model, and that was slightly slight hard work, or maybe a lot hard work. But the benefit of this is that once people trust, they themselves are willing to pay and offer. And I'll give you one or two examples. So when with the Astrosage, when we started astrosage.com in 2003 or 4, that was completely free platform. You can do everything on cloud. You make horoscope matching for marriage and everything. Everything was free. So I think people used it, people trusted it. In the initial years, we never intended to monetize it. And then people themselves said, I want to buy gemstone. Why you not sell gemstone? You need to sell gemstone. Then they'll say, yeah, I have to get Kundli. Why don't you sell Kundli? So these monetization came as a result of trust, I would say, then actual intention of monetizing the platform. So I as an individual always wanted to be a tech kind of a software engineer. So my thought was that this platform I will be building for as a hobby project. And then I was involved with JSR, the Java Expert Group, and I was building Java and other things. So I wanted to focus more on that part. But people themselves made us monetize, and then they started paying us. And I reached to a point where Astrosage Astrosage was making more money than my US salary. I was in US and I had a green card, and I was working pretty well there. But Astrosage started making similar or more money than my US salary. Then one point of time, I thought that probably this is what people wanted. So I think these are the two models, a quick model and a long-term model. But generally, both work well for monetization.
Oh, perfect. I think the summary here would be, Puneet, that the intent matters here. I think what started as a hobby project and what was mostly tech driven, and I think something that brought you back to India from the US. Obviously, so faith, intent, all of these things matter more when building products, and then monetization falls in place if you've already built that faith and your intentions are good. So I think that's something for the next breed of founders who might be listening to this podcast. I think they will definitely take inspiration from this. Thank you so much for sharing this, Puneet. But I think I'll ask you to hold on to that thought, because the next section that I wanted to discuss was the ethics and user trust. So, like you mentioned, it's very easy sometimes for astrologers to make money, pound the user with many things like Sadesati, Kalp, Sarp Dosh, Manglik Dosh, all of those things. So it needs to be balanced, and the conversation should not start as fear in the mind of the user, right? So it should come as empathetic, it should come with shaping major life decisions. So when it comes to astrology, most users tend to fall on astrology to shape major life decisions, like something related to health, right? Now, something related to marriage, finance. So, how do you make sure that the AI that you are using and building and scaling does not overpromise or does not mislead?
First and the foremost thing is the model you train, right? So this is the AI. At the end of the day, these are just models. So they'll act as you train them. So we want to make sure we follow the approach we are following for since this 20 25 years, that you build trust and then rest of the things will follow. So do not build for the monetization, build for the trust. So this is our idea. So model, I think, is one of the fundamental part. Of course, you need to have a different guardrails and filtering in place and auditing in place. But I think those are all secondary if the fundamentally thought of what kind of astrologer you want to create is itself is thing. And I am sure more manipulative and cheat AI astrologer will also follow, because as I mentioned, there are only two major ways of making money. One using manipulation and one using trust. So I can expect more such astrologers, AI astrologers to follow. But I think, yeah, our job is to do what we do best.
Absolutely. That's correct, Puneet. And I think everyone who's tuned into the podcast will definitely relate to the approach that you're talking about. There's another interesting thing that with the adoption of AI, right, there's something called ethical and responsible AI that mostly the security audits what part of. So while you have the experience of building over 2 decades and 3 decades, but AI being AI, it can hallucinate, it can sometimes mislead even on trained models. So, have you deployed any additional internal guardrails or audits that you are building for supporting the concept of responsible AI, especially in the sensitive space of astrology?
Right. So I touched upon some of the things in the last answer. There are quite a few guardrails which are there. So most important thing is this quality and probably emotional audit. Probably maybe the right word. So that is there in place, and we do have a pretty strong content filters as well for keeping these things in mind. And as I mentioned, but at the end of the day, the part is how you train your models. So with their behavior. So if they are manipulators themselves, then they are intelligent enough to pass all audits and content. AI is quite intelligent in that sense. So yeah, I think you need to build that kind of a soul. That is the most important part. And then, of course, these are important aspects: the continuous and audit and monitoring, plus the very strong content filters.
Correct. I think content moderation is another area, especially in this sensitive space, that is definitely driven by AI and countered by AI at the same time. So,
Right.
great, Puneet. So, Puneet, as we approach the last bit of the other sections, right now, one thing everyone would want to understand is the future roadmap. Now, everyone's very excited about AI astrologer. I think the adoption is increasing day by day. But what's next for Astrosage AI? So, will you be bringing more voices, more avatars, or maybe using the power of the large language model these days to come up with visual graphs or visual charts while the conversation is happening in real time so that the audience or the users who are on your platform can relate better to what the AI is speaking about?
I think, see, in any technological innovator or I would say engineer, objectives have not changed in last 200 years or so. So from the days of Charles Babbage, so everybody wanted to build AGI and ASI, right? So if you want to reach to a certain level where the technology is at par with the general average human intelligence, and then you want to surpass it and build something which is really phenomenal and which is impossible for any human to achieve and to do. So that is how that is probably the vision of AI itself, and that is also vision of us and probably any technology person per se. So I think we are building in that direction. So we would like to see in say 1 to 2 years timeline that for anybody, it is very difficult to distinguish who is a human and who is AI. So they should be consulted uh, just like intelligence, not a human intelligence or artificial intelligence. The point should be of intelligence. We are launching, say, one big product every 2 3 months. So this is the AI call functionality where you can talk to AI astrologer over phone call. This we released recently, and there are lot many follow. But the overall the guiding principle is the AGI and ASI. But for us, this is related more to limited more to astrology than the general. So may not be the correct definition, but the closest definition, I would say.
No, absolutely. I think that's where the industry also sees it, right? That AI is mostly an AI assistant rather than changing the dynamics of the game. Like you mentioned, that the fundamentals have remained the same for the past century or so, and it's all about exploring more facets that can unlock more opportunities. But maybe AI astrologer is more of a life companion assistant rather than changing the entire rules of the game. All right. So, Puneet, now with all the innovation that's happening all around, with new AI models being available and companies like OpenAI, Google launching their LLM models and bringing new parameters, new dialog boxes, and everything. So, how do you see everything changing, or how do you reimagine astrology 5 years down the line? Obviously, complemented through AI. How do you envision the experience changing or completely redefining the rules of the game?
So, one thing, the way we believe that astrology is a very useful science. Generally, there are various ways to look at that, and generally, I see that, for example, in India, astrology is not utilized as much as it should. And to give you an example, that there are certain point or period in our life, for example, marriage. So when marriage is happening, we generally do horoscope matching or marriage matching done. We also choose a good muhurat for marriage. And generally, there is a period of time where in India no marriage happens. There is a point of time where marriages are happening. What I have noticed, what word has noticed, I would say, that the success percentage of marriages are pretty high for India. Right. So even if we see our neighboring countries, so our success rate is pretty high. So the example is just a point that I want to make is that astrology, if used more frequently, it will be more useful. For example, people are, let us say, investing. There are people who are doing trading in share market. So I think astrology can here help there as well. So astrology can help what the way it happened with our CEO, weight loss, right? So the day to day things, I believe in astrology will be part of day to day things. Then right now, because of the unavailability of the good astrologers, you cannot do day to day discussion. So you have a minor question. So you generally go to astrologer only for marriage or career or something very important. But if the companion or the astrologer will be available to you 24/7, so you will be asking all sort of minor questions. So if you are not getting sleep at 2 o'clock in night, so you can ask astrologer what should be the astrological way of getting better sleep, right? So which is currently is not there. So this is how I see astrology getting more personal, uh, getting involved into day to day and minor things. This is how I believe astrology is going to be.
Correct. I think the availability, the affordability, and the accessibility in the near future is going to be defining the next wave of assistance offered through astrological ways. So that's another great point, Puneet. Thank you so much.
Here, I would just add that we would have read, we had read all those stories that kings used to have their astrologer. They are used to call royal astrologers. So that, but not everybody can afford royal astrologer. Even today, I know lots of big politicians, some of the people who are very top top in India. So they consult and they have their own panel of astrologers advising them constantly. But that facility is not available to the common man. So the benefit of AI is that, and technology in general, is AI in particular, that it democratize everything, including astrology.
And thanks for leading the charge on that, Puneet. And I think 5 years down the line, with the penetration of internet in India and the globe, and the affordability of internet as well, this will probably reach more than a billion or 2 billion people. And that's how the next wave of growth will be defined through AI. And I think one thing I wanted to mention also, now we are at 5G. Maybe 6G unlocks the next level of growth that we have not even imagined. So again, and in combination of AI, it will make a big breakthrough in the world. So great, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for that, Puneet. These are fascinating answers. Now, I think let's probably increase the pace of this podcast and dive into a rapid fire round. All right. So I'll probably ask you a set of questions here, and you can feel free to respond in any manner you want. It just needs to be rapid enough. All right. So that the audience understands your preferences and the way you're thinking. So the first question is, what's the most misunderstood thing about astrology?
So yeah, this is a age-old debate that astrology is science or not. So I think astrology is science, and not everybody understands this. So people do expect magic from astrology, which is not. Really. It work in the same perimeter than any other applied science like healthcare or this medical science work.
Absolutely. And the next question. So what's one AI model that you admire outside of Astrosage?
I'm a big fan of anthropic models, especially the agentic and tool use capabilities. So again, when I first encountered those agentic capabilities, I was kind of shocked or surprised, whatever is the right word. So yeah, anthropic doing really great. They are popular among software engineers, but even for those non-engineers, that agentic models are extremely useful.
Great, great. Next question quickly, Puneet. So code or Kundli, which one came first for you?
Quote.
Code, I think, yeah. You mentioned that in the beginning of the podcast, right? All right. The next question is your favorite AI feature in Astrosage right now?
So right now, the latest one is AI call. So yeah, I would say AI call. I am loving it and hoping that people love it.
I'm sure they would. All right. So, one myth about AI in spirituality you want to completely bust.
One myth of AI in spirituality. So that probably tough question. Need to think. I think, yeah, as I mentioned, generally people do think as a something different. But as I mentioned, that AI can act as a guru and astrologer and teacher and everything together. So right now, I think this is not well understood.
True. True. I agree with that. Next question. If you could have a conversation with any historical thinker, who would it be?
So yeah, my the Aryabhat and even Brahma book. So I am always fascinated by maths and even the computer, the decimal system, the zero and everything. That is amazing on which we have based everything. So all those algorithms that we see. So the foundation came from there.
Perfect. I was expecting you to say Aryabhat. You did that perfect. Right. The one prediction AI can't make yet.
So right now, I think the astrology is very vast, and the AI models are not trained on all branches of astrology. So there is only one branch of astrology, and so sorry for taking a long time in the short, but yeah, the only branch where this thing is the model training is done is the natal astrology or birth chart astrology. But for the Muhurat astrology, the is most importantly in mundane astrology, where you predict about elections and earthquakes and the political and international scenarios. Right now, lot many things going on internationally. Those the mundane astrology, I think currently AI cannot do that well, and I'm sure it will be doing in coming time.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing up the international point as well. I think everyone's kind of worried about that.
Right.
Maybe AI can help us anticipate that better in the future. All right. So I think looking at the humility coming from you on this podcast, and I think that's how a person you are. So, what mantra you live by while building from Bharat?
So mantra that we have is called Innovative Indian. So if you will open astrosage.com, you'll find Innovative Indian written in bold letters. So the idea is that we talked about Aryabhat and the innovation and development and contribution made by Aryabhat. So and I believe that Indians can make much bigger contribution than what we are doing currently. So we must be awakened and we should start contributing more.
Perfect. Yeah, I think this is the beginning for India and the creators and innovators in India. So I think that will have a lasting impression. Thank you for that quick responses there, Puneet. I think the viewers are going to love that. Now, I think as we approach the last section of the podcast, it's more about giving back to the community. Now, with all your years of experience building different products and being a coder at heart, so what's one lesson that you have learned while building conversational AI that every Bharat based or any global founder should know about?
No, yeah. So one lesson is we should look problems from our own perspective. So suppose if we are coming from the small town, so we should see problems there and see from their perspective. So the in tech space, the fundraising and the valuation and everybody starts thinking about it much more earlier than they should be. So building for Bharat, uh, having perspective of Bharat or whatever place you are there, that is, I think, the most important one.
Correct. And I think since you have come, and the entire team of Astrosage has come from small towns, as you mentioned before, right? So this is definitely inspiring for, let's say, an 18-year-old or someone who's at 14 years old planning what to do next. I think these are inspiring stories. And a bigger, wider perspective is much more needed in today's world rather than restricting ourselves to regions or countries or stuff like that. So perfect, Puneet. I think that is indeed what the audiences might be anticipating from a humble leader like you. So thank you so much, Puneet, for your time today. Now, just to close this out, now from the heart of Bharat to the heart of AI, your journey, I think, will remind everyone who has tuned on this podcast that innovation is not just about technology, right? It's about empathy, persistence, and understanding human emotions, which I think you have done exceptionally well while building Astro Sage. And you had a great global perspective while working in the US. And then we are glad that you returned to India and are, innovating from India. So, Puneet, thank you again for joining us and for showing the world how ancient wisdom and modern AI can speak the same language.
Thanks, Rishi, and thanks for having me on your show. This is absolutely my pleasure, and hope this kind of a conversation keep happening.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Puneet, and thanks for everyone who tuned in. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone.